Want a sexy number of fun and easy platinums to add to your collection? Well, this is the video for you. This is a collection of previous trophy lists that I've uploaded before, so if you've seen them all, maybe skip this one until the end, as there is one new game. Make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already to not miss out on some cool videos coming up soon, and super excited for the future. The first on the list is Pinball Heroes, the easiest and quickest platinum I found in the collection. This was released in 2009 for the PSP and is very similar to the original pinball game you would have had on your late 90s, early 2000s PC back in the day. With 21 trophies, including the platinum, this rocks in as a simple 1 out of 10, taking just 1 hour. To achieve the platinum, all you have to do is play each level, which gets you a trophy just for that, and achieve the high score on each table. The rewind feature is important here, so you're not to the mercy of RNG. The other 4 trophies are tied to things you may pick up randomly through your gameplay, but nothing on this list is too challenging or taxing, giving you a nice shiny platinum trophy for just 60 minutes of your time. IQ Intelligence Cube, or Kurushi as it was called on my PS Plus for some reason, was released in 1997 for the PS1 and is a puzzle game which could have you scratching your head. It's a bit hard to explain the concept, but essentially you want to destroy the grey and green cubes and leave the black cubes before they tumble off the edge of the map. There's 19 trophies here, including the platinum, and they're all linked to completing each stage and getting a perfect round in each stage, so the list is very simple in concept. But with no trophy guide, and from what I've seen, everyone's experience being different, there's no definitive time or difficulty, though I'll give it a 3 out of 10 taking about 3 hours. Even with the rewind feature, this could still be a little difficult for some, but after some practice I got to grips with it quite quickly and didn't find it too taxing that I wouldn't recommend it. So reckon your IQ could handle this? Give it a try if so. Twisted Metal is a game that you always hear of being a PlayStation classic, but I never checked it out so wanted to give it a go. Released in 1995 for the PS1, it's a vehicle combat game where you're shoved into arenas and have to take out other vehicles with guns, missiles, traps. It's very simple and fun, but the platinum trophy can be a little bit of a grind. But thankfully with an easy difficulty and cheat codes, including the rewind feature in case you mess up, the platinum trophy is a 4 out of 10, taking roughly 4 hours. The trophy list will see you complete the campaign with the car of your choice, and then to complete the final level with each car, which is where the cheat codes come in handy, so you can skip all the levels and just replay the final level. The final boss can be a bit tricky, and will deal a lot of damage, though there is a cheese tactic to trick it onto a rooftop where it will become stuck and constantly fall off trying to reach you. The other trophies are relatively simple, which will see you collect just pickups or destroy things on maps, all very easy and clean up after you've done the grind. So with 31 trophies including the platinum, this is a solid addition to anyone's collection and can be a fun couple of hours. Again, another game that most of you will have heard of, especially as it was one of the first classic games to hit the collection. Ape Escape was released in 1999 for the PlayStation 1, and again, this is another one I missed as a youngster and I wanted to try for myself. Just 17 trophies, including the platinum in this one. The game sees you playing as Spike, taking on a white-haired ape called Spectre, who's released monkeys to take over the world. It's up to Spike and his friends to recapture the monkeys and save the day. This is the longest game in this list, taking 8 hours, but coming in at a 2 out of 10 difficulty. The trophies are linked mainly to just completing the story and gaining the gadgets, and also you have to capture monkeys and Spectre coins. Thankfully, you don't have to collect every monkey or coin, otherwise I could see this platinum putting people off. And then there's 3 trophies linked to playing minigames that are only open after collecting the coins, but you don't actually have to play these minigames, you just have to start them. I will say that the controls and camera did frustrate me quite a lot, especially with the tricky platforming. This can be quite annoying. But it was fun to play a PlayStation classic, and if you've not played this, it's worth considering adding this platinum to your collection. I had a few options for the final game on this list, but eventually settled on Star Wars The Clone Wars, a PS2 game released in 2002. And I'll be honest, I got quite a lot of fun with this. The game sees you mainly play as Mace and Anakin, driving various combat vehicles, shooting hundreds of the Empire's clones, though there are occasionally lightsaber moments, even if they are limited gameplay wise. With 29 trophies, including the Platinum, it'll see you complete the main story on the Padawan difficulty, with a trophy for completing each stage. There are also bonus objectives for each level, which you'll need 30 for a trophy, and to see the behind the scenes video for another trophy. Again though, another easy Platinum to achieve, which is reflected in the 2 out of 10 difficulty and should take about 5 hours. By far one of my most favourite games, It Takes Two was released in 2021 on both PS4 and PS5 by Hazelight Studios, who are no beginners when it comes to great co-op Platinum trophies. You and your friend will play as either Cody or May, a married couple whose relationship is on the rocks. Their daughter, hearing of their impending divorce, reenacts their making up through her dolls. Some kind of magic shenanigans happens, and both parents find themselves unwittingly stuck in the doll versions of themselves, trying to find a way to return to normal. It's a great little action adventure with some puzzles thrown in, where you have to work as a team to traverse the house and garden. PSM Profiles has it as a 3 out of 10, taking 15 hours, and with it being the PS4 and PS5 version, you can play the game twice and switch the roles for a different experience. If there's one game to play off this list, this is the one. It's great, I promise. An espionage-themed adventure here, where one player plays as the spy and the other as a hacker guiding them through missions. Released in 2020, again both on PS4 and PS5 by Clever Play Studios. This is the perfect game for someone who may not be as keen on Platinums as you, as it requires you to play through the game as each character, but that will only take about 5 hours. The puzzles aren't that challenging, and that's reflected in the 2 out of 10 difficulty, so perfect for a chill evening with someone special. You know, I was going to say that this game is awesome too, but all the games on this list are. The little cuddly platformer came to PS4 and PS5 again in 2020, and it's probably one of the best platformers out there. There's levels with music which will have you head bopping along, and with a friend this game is a blast and hilarious. It will take a while, with PSM Profiles saying it's a 5 out of 10 taking 50 hours, and there is one Platinum killer, String It Together, which is recommended to do solo. We have to complete a crazy course of obstacles and finish the level in under 10 minutes. I will say that it is doable, and that with practice I believe any one of you can do it. Speed is not overly important, as there's loads of time to knock off at the end. Another game released in 2020. Wow, 2020 was a great year. Kinda. Overcooked All You Can Eat can be played with up to 3 fans. You have to prep, cook and deliver food for the Onion King. It's hilarious and stressy, but the Platinum isn't too difficult. PSM Profiles has it as a 3 out of 10, taking 15 hours. Overcooked was one of the first multiplayer Platinums I went on to doing in the last year, and led me very easily into this next game. I had heard about this from a few friends, and after trusting them with Overcooked, I jumped straight into this. Moving Out was released in, everyone said it together, 2020, though just for the PS4. You help people deliver or undeliver items by any means necessary. Doors are very much an option. As the saying goes, when someone closes the door, throw the sofa out a window, or something, I don't remember. It's really fun, but I highly recommend using Assist mode, and the trophy guide is again a 3 out of 10, taking 15 hours, so just a few days work. There's some DLC should you want to do the 100%, which is just as fun. And there's also now Moving Out 2, which I will 100% do one day. Now, this is a contentious one, as you can do it solo, and also any friend helping you won't earn any trophies, but doing this with a friend is so much better than doing it alone. There's also a lot of missable trophies, so keep an eye on the trophies before going through career mode on this one. But Power Wash Simulator was released just last year in 2023 for both PS4 and PS5, and it's pretty chill. I'd argue too chill sometimes, as my mind wandered constantly. The Platinum is a 3 out of 10, taking 40 hours, but with a friend you'll bash this out quite quickly. Word of warning in mind, the developers mess up trophies with every DLC release, and they love releasing DLCs with trophies attached. So only play this if this appeals to you, as it's not everyone's cup of tea. Now, you're probably going to be like, what the hell to me right now? Opus, a 10 out of 10 Platinum Trophy? A 2.15% Ultra Rare Platinum Trophy? Yeah, okay, but hear me out. We all know Fall Guys, those stupid little beans doing It's a Knockout courses. With friends though, this game is a blast. And while the trophy guide says it's a 10 out of 10, taking 40 hours, it's not. It's really not. I've got the Platinum on this twice, both legit. Infallible is not what it used to be, and I'll explain why. Fall Guys has introduced limited time events, or special courses, and with friends, or even on your own, it's ridiculously simple to get Infallible these days. Winning races can be tough for some, but with friends and practice, it can be done. I'd argue the hardest trophy now is Down to the Wire or Lowballer, as there's a massive amount of RNG involved in these. Trust me, this is a great platinum to go for and achieve, especially if a few of your friends are down to play. Thank you Liam for recommending me this. I actually had no idea about this game, but when I had a look I really wanted to give it a go. Released in October 2020 for the PS4, Carto is an indie puzzle adventure game where you collect map pieces throughout the world and line them up to create new areas to explore, or occasionally find secret map tiles. It's a really interesting concept which can get rather confusing and difficult without a guide, so I recommend to follow a guide loosely for miscellaneous trophies, and should you struggle at all. Depending on how well you are with puzzles, this can take between 5 to 10 hours, but if you do follow a guide it's closer to 5 hours. And difficulty wise, I'd say it's about a 3 out of 10. The story follows Carto as she gets separated from her grandmother and navigates mysterious islands looking to reunite with her. It's a cute little game that's worth 5 hours of your time, so if you like the concept, give it a go. Another mystery puzzle adventure game here. You play as Nora who has a weird skin condition. She receives a package from her husband who's gone to a mysterious island to find a cure for it. And as she traverses the island learning more about her condition and the fate of her husband and his colleagues. The game was released on both PS4 and PS5 in May 2021, but as far as I'm aware there's no autopop. The story was a lot more intriguing than I thought it would be, but I would highly recommend following a guide as there are a lot of collectibles and miscellaneous trophies, though there is chapter select should you want to play the game blind. PSM Profiles has the game as a 2 out of 10, taking 3 hours, but I think without a guide it would be almost double at about 5 hours. Again, another one I enjoy my time with, so if this tickles your pickle, I recommend going for it. Released on PS4 and PS5 in 2022, and again with no autopop, DC League of Super Pets is like an auto-flying asteroid style game with a rather linear trophy list, consisting of just completing quite repetitive levels. There's an adoption feature on here too, but it lacks a bit of imagination or satisfaction, and just leveling up side characters to the max. The one trophy that is a bit different is completing a level without destroying a robot, which sounds easy on paper until you realise that involves not flying into them. Level 1 seems to be the go-to, and after a few goes I did get it done. PSM Profiles has it as a 2 out of 10 taking just 2 hours. But just a word of warning should you want to get this platinum, it leaves the catalogue in just under 2 weeks at the time of this recording, on the 18th of June, so grab it quick if you want to achieve it. I've been meaning to play this game for quite some time, and while waiting it came onto the PS Plus catalogue, so saving me a couple of quid. Released in May 2022 on both PS4 and PS5, and again, as far as I'm aware there's no autopop. This is a point and click puzzle game where you have to unpack a girl's items and place them accordingly as she moves between places throughout her life. Some items are quite specific with where you should place them, but I'd recommend to play without a guide, apart from one just giving a heads up about certain miscellaneous trophies throughout the levels. You can either take your time and place everything meticulously, or be an average lad like me and shove them anywhere. At the end of the level it will highlight in red what's misplaced, so you can easily correct any mistakes. PSM Profiles has it as a 1 out of 10 taking 4 hours, but it can easily be completed way quicker than that, in about 2 to 3 hours. Relaxing and super simple, this is a great game to play on a day you just want a breather from a difficult trophy list. Released in April 2022, Lake is an indie RPG where you play as Meredith, who's taken a break from the hustle and bustle of city life and reconnecting with her roots back in her hometown of Providence Oak. She takes up her father's position as a mailman, woman, person, and sees her reconnect with old friends and making new ones. The game is very simple, as it's done over a week or two of you delivering mail and uncovering very simplistic stories. But even though I say that, I do highly recommend a guide again, as apart from a few missable trophies, again not a major issue as there is chapter select, there are 3 different endings, and as the dialogue can't be skipped, it may drive you mad to have to redo more than just the ending. PSM Profiles has it as a 2 out of 10, taking 6 hours, and again it's a nice game to just sit back and relax and deliver some mail. Look, alright, this isn't my proudest platinum, but my friend said his son's nearly got this platinum and I want to achieve it before a 7-year-old boy, so yeah, take that L, kid. Released on PS4 and PS5 in 2021, my friend Peppa Pig is a gaming masterpiece. This trophy list is very simple, and to get it quick and easily I just recommend looking at what trophies you need and just doing them. No surprise in telling you it's a 1 out of 10 and taking an hour, 40 minutes for me. It's not a terribly made game, just a bit cringe for anyone over the age of 10. So get this platinum at the risk of being mocked. So I'll be 100% honest with you, I messed up searching for my final game. I had a game all lined up and was excited, started playing and realised, crap, there's no platinum. So after a quick frantic search I found this. Released in August 2021, Dodgeball Academia reminds me of Pokemon Dodgeball. There's lots of random encounters and battles, and it's very over the top. You play as Otto as he joins a dodgeball school, and to be honest that's all I got out of the story, as there's so much dialogue. The game is a 1 out of 10, taking 6 hours with a guide, as there are in-game cheats to be invincible and overpowered, and I'd highly recommend a guide as there are a lot of items that can be missed. Without a guide and reading all the dialogue, this easily pushes up towards the 10-hour mark, but I read that the story and humour is very good, so that's up to you. But after watching the Dodgeball movie the other week, I was keen to play a dodgeball game, and this was pretty fun and well made. Again, this leaves the PS Plus catalogue on the 18th of June. So if you want this platinum, make sure you pick it up soon. Thank you to Liam Thomas for recommending this one. It took me a while to get around to it. Strange Horculture is an occult puzzle game in which you play as the proprietor of a local plant store. Find and identify new plants, pet your cat, speak to a coven, or join a cult. Use your collection of powerful plants to influence the story and unravel Undermere's dark mysteries. The game was released February this year on the PlayStation 4 with 19 trophies including the platinum. There's not much information on this platinum online, though there are some guides for the Steam achievements which you can also follow for the PlayStation version should you wish. There are 3 multiple endings linked to trophies, but apart from one you can achieve, the other 2 on the final day. So go for the ending linked to the trophy Praise the Dendru first, to avoid adding an extra 2 hours or so to your platinum experience. There is no difficulty or time stated online, so I'll have to decide for myself, and would say it's probably a 2 out of 10 taking about 5 hours. You can get it for about £6.50 when it's on sale, so if this looks like your type of thing, give it a try. Will a mother fox manage to keep its little cubs alive? Experience a world ravaged by mankind throughout the years of the last fox on Earth in this eco-conscious adventure. Discover the destructive force of the human race as it corrupts, pollutes and exploits the most precious and valuable resources of the natural environment day by day. The game was released in November 2022 for both PS4 and PS5 and was one of the monthly PS games in July 2023. So a lot of you may have played this already or have it in your library, but if not, you can grab it for about £10 in the sales. The Platinum is a 3 out of 10, taking 6 hours, but there is an exploit which can reduce that time down to about an hour or two. But I highly recommend trying it blind for a little bit first, as this game is not just beautiful but unique and intriguing, and I found it engrossing from start to finish. There's 28 trophies including the Platinum that will mainly see you try to keep your cubs alive until the end of the game. I've said this before and I'll say it again here, some games, despite only being a few hours long, stick with you after the credits roll, and the Platinum pops. And this is just one of those games. It was fantastic and I'm so glad I gave it a chance and experienced it. Set off on a delightful expedition and use your photographic eye to uncover the mysteries of the magical Toem in this hand-drawn adventure game. chat with quirky characters, solve their problems by snapping neat photos, and make your way through a relaxing landscape. Released in September 2021 for the PlayStation 5, this is another that was available in the monthly games in September 2022. Though if you just miss out, you can grab it on sale for about £3.20 in the sales. This game is easily the easiest and most relaxing platinum in this list, taking photographs and just exploring the world. This is another game where I just thought this was fantastic, and even finished up the DLC, which is only an extra hour or two. With 38 trophies including the platinum, 49 if you include the DLC, Touring comes in as a 1 out of 10 taking 8 hours. Nothing is missable, so you can grab the trophies whenever you want. Open world action RPG with a rich quest-based narrative, multiple combat styles, an advanced progression inventory system, and lots of travels and discoveries. Something bad happened in Weakwood Kingdom. Furious beasts wandering in the fields, people getting more miserable each day. It all started since the new king reigns, so find out what's wrong in the throne room. Released in September 2021 for the PS4, with 22 trophies including the platinum. This game isn't great. The trophy list is also not great, but it's relatively easy apart from a few boss battles. I got sucked in by the art style, plus you can skateboard around, but you can pick this up when it's on sale for just under £1, and there is some gunplay, so at least it's not a shovelware. The platinum is a 2 out of 10, taking about 2 or 3 hours, and the trophy list is incredibly simple and nothing is missable. So if you fancy this, it's worth it for about 80p. Step into the polished shoes of the cleaner. Professional crime scene cleaner for the mob. There's no business like cleaning business, and right now business is booming. Sneak around crime scenes, avoiding detection from the guarding cops as you vacuum up blood, hide bodies and remove evidence in this 70s styled, fast-paced 2D action stealth game. Released in July 2017 with 29 trophies including the platinum, this game is one I've had my eye on and I've wanted to play for a very long time. And I'll be honest, guides online say it's a 3 out of 10 taking about 10 hours, but it can be quite difficult in parts and can be quite frustrating. Maybe I'm just terrible. I've never been the best at stealth games or stealth parts in games, but regardless of my frustration in parts, I really enjoyed my time with this game. The trophy list will see you 100% complete every level in story mode, especially the blood, and interacting with the radio, TV, newspaper and your mother every day. The story was actually quite compelling and kept me engaged, which is unusual in this day and age. And if you've been lining this up, give it a go. It can go as low as 60p in the sales, and it is well worth that. One day, on a walk with your brother, something terrible happens. Everything turns into horror, and you are dragged into a frightful nightmare that you can't escape from. Your brother has been taken by strange, inhuman beings, and you are left face to face with an ominous forest filled with terrors and dangerous and strange creatures. Solve the puzzles that pave your way, do not get caught and save your brother. Released in April 2023 for the PS4, Creepy Tale is a fun short game for anyone who enjoys the grim stories. I thought this was going to be mainly a story driven game, but there were actually puzzles and gameplay. There's only 14 trophies including the platinum, and it's a 1 out of 10 taking just an hour or less. The only issue I have with this short platinum is that the cheapest you can get it for is £2.40, but I did enjoy it, the art style and the atmosphere. Coffin Dodgers sees you take on the role of saving one of 7 quirky retirement village residents, each racing for their soul in pimped up mobility scooters, against none other than the Grim Reaper himself. Our old heroes are armed with a variety of homemade weapons and gadgets to take on anything the Grim Reaper and his zombie army may throw at them. Can you survive the retirement village? Released in May 2016 for the PS4, I remember Coffin Dodgers when it initially came out and thought it would be a fun and quirky platinum that's different from the rest of this list. At first the controls feel awful and clunky, but after a time it didn't bother me as much, and the game was okay to play. There's 23 trophies including the platinum, and it's a 2 out of 10 taking just 4 hours. You'll need to complete the story mode twice, and most of the trophies can also be achieved in this game mode, but some of the weapon trophies can be super tedious, due to scuffed hitboxes and what seemed like a dodgy counter. You can pick this up in the sales though for £1.90, and it isn't a bad platinum to get. So fancy role playing as an aggressive granny for a few hours? This is the game. A mystery visual novel, taking place around the underwater train the Marine Express, follows student Ranko Tagawa on her quest to track down the culprit as she searches for clues, questions the other students, and undercover evidence. Thought I'd add a cheeky bonus game for you guys, as this could be seen as shovelware, as you can just spam the X button and get the platinum in just a few minutes. But if you want to read an intriguing story with a whodunit, this platinum is about 1 to 2 hours. Released in September 2022 for both PS4 and PS5, there are 12 trophies including the platinum, and all trophies are gold. So it's a 1 out of 10 taken an hour, and you can grab this for just 80p in the sales. In 2020, you couldn't go anywhere on the internet without seeing people play Among Us. The PS4 and PS5 versions came out late 2021 with a relatively quick and easy platinum trophy. The trophy list consists of simple things like getting kills, completing tasks, winning on each map 3 times. The hardest trophy for this game is to kill 3 people before a meeting is called or before a body is reported. This can be a bit tricky, but if you host a game you can set the rules in your favour, or the easiest way is to have a private lobby with a few friends and boost the trophy. You could also just play by yourself and have a game running on your phone, tablet, Switch, computer, etc. PSM Profiles has the game as a 3 out of 10, taking just 10 hours, and with both platinums having a 10% completion, is a good game to add to the collection. There's free DLC also, and should you want to complete that, it's relatively easy, with the main issue being to play as the killer, but again hosting a lobby and occasionally setting yourself as the killer means it shouldn't take too long. Getting the only point and click game out of the way, as I know you guys aren't always the biggest fan, The Inner World is another quirky game released on the PS4 in 2017. You play as Robert in a dystopia world of Asposia, where he aims to find out the truth about his heritage. It is recommended to follow a guide as there are missable trophies, and you're required to complete a full playthrough without using the hints. After this it will just be spamming the hint option to get the last trophy and the platinum. PSM Profiles has it as a 2 out of 10 and taking 2 hours, so even if point and clicks aren't your jam, this is a nice quick and easy one to add. Two years ago, I was looking for a free game with a relatively easy platinum and I stumbled across this. It's a roguelike game where you can either play solo or with some friends, clearing out randomly generated rooms filled with robots and saving your bunny friends along the way. The trophy list is pretty linear, where you just have to kill some enemies, save some bunnies, loot some coins, but the hardest trophy is defeating a boss. The boss won't spawn until quite far into a run, and it can be a little challenging, especially solo, but it's not too difficult. But if you have a friend or two who wants to play a relatively chill game and earn a platinum, this is a great game to suggest. PSM Profiles has it as a 2 out of 10 and taking only 2 hours, with only 12 gold trophies including the platinum, so this is a perfect game to bump up your completion percentage. This game was recommended to me by Yuki Sinak, hope I said that correctly, so thank you so much for the recommendation. I do read and reply to every comment I can, and do check out the games you suggest. The game is free on PS Plus, and the PSM Profiles guide gave it a 2 out of 10, with it only taking 1 hour, so I thought this would be a perfect game for a list. I tried the game on my own for a little while, but a guide is definitely recommended, especially as there are 3 missable trophies. You play as a journalist investigating the boy and neighbour from the original game, when the neighbour attacks you and leaves you stuck in the neighbourhood. It's a similar style of solving very obscure puzzles while evading not just the neighbour this time, but some other cuckoo villagers. The missable trophies are to pet the cat on day 2, pet the dog a few days later outside the mansion, and climb into the top of the museum during the night. After escaping the neighbour one final time, the platinum will pop. I was tempted to put this in a list about just co-op or multiplayer games, but it's such a great little game that I feel like it could be a perfect platinum for those who want to earn a platinum with someone else. Released in 2018 for the PS4, you play as Leo and Vincent, two convicted prisoners who escape from prison and go on the run. It only requires one playthrough, as trophies will pop for both players. There is also chapter select should you miss any trophies on the playthrough. PSM Profiles gives it a 2 out of 10 difficulty, taking only 7 hours, and Haze Light Studios also made It Takes Two, another great co-op game that's a little too long for this list, but I highly recommend it. An escape room set on a train is essentially a co-op but can be done by one player, as one player plays the game and the other plays their part on an app on their phone. There's no guides at all online, so there's no difficulty or time frame, but based on my own experience I'd give it a 2 out of 10, taking about 3 hours. The puzzles aren't too challenging, and it will probably require 2 playthroughs as there are speedrun trophies for each section, but again they're very lenient. So if this looks like your cup of tea, or you have an escape room loving friend, this is a great little platinum for you to earn. I found this looking through the recent sale on the PlayStation Store and thought it looked cool. A hack and slash RPG with satisfying combat. The trophy list comprises on beating the game on different difficulties, though they do stack. I recommend to start on a lower one to level up and gain overpowered equipment first. Collecting all weapons, items and learning all skills. Completing a level, taking no damage, which, once you've achieved the loadout on screen, is a breeze on a low difficulty. And then there's 2 co-op trophies, which I just plugged in a second controller to pick up an ally and complete a level on co-op. PSM Profiles has it as a 4 out of 10, taking roughly 6 hours, and I really enjoyed my time with this platinum and highly recommend anyone to give it a try. I finally put a Telltale game on this list, and to be honest I could have listed most of the Telltale games, but I went for Walking Dead. It was the first ever platinum I achieved back before I was a trophy hunter, and I think everyone knows how easy these platinum journeys are. You can get the platinum on PS3, PS Vita and PS4 if you do like getting stacks, and the game just requires you to complete the story for the platinum. And what a story this one is, so I won't give any details about it if you've never played. PSM Profiles has it as a 1 out of 10, taking 10 hours, and this is perfect for anyone who's intimidated by trophies or wants an easy platinum. A quick indie title here, where you play as an FBI agent trying to solve the mystery of a missing boy. There's no dialogue, so everything is kind of left up to interpretation, but it's told pretty beautifully through the art style. It will require you to play through the game twice, but you do get a better picture of the story on the second playthrough, so it doesn't feel like a slog. But maybe follow a guide on the first playthrough, so you don't miss anything and then appreciate everything the next time around. PSM Profiles has it as a 2 out of 10 and taking only 3 hours, so give this unique and beautiful game a go. If you haven't gathered by now, I like my escape rooms. A little like How to Escape, this can be done solo with 2 controllers, but ideally if you have someone to play with, the experience is much better. Released in 2022 for both PS4 and PS5, you're inducted into the Escape Academy, where not everything is as it seems, and after perfecting your craft, the story slowly unravels. There's no PSM Profiles guide again, but the platinum should be a 3 out of 10, taking about 8 hours, and there's no missable trophies as you can replay levels. A free DLC was released where you can play randomised escape rooms with different rules against your friend, or again solo should you want to, as it's mainly just winning rounds to get the trophies. So if you'd like to put your brain to the test, I highly recommend this game on platinum. Now I'm putting this as a bonus as it's very borderline shovelware, mainly because the platinum can be achieved way before the game really gets going, but this is an actual game, where you play as a duck and manipulate gravity to get past obstacles. Again, there's no PSM Profiles guide, but you shouldn't really need it, and I got the platinum in 23 minutes, so it's under 1 hour for sure. Maybe I give it a 2 out of 10 difficulty, as there is a bit of a challenge to it, but nowhere near enough that anyone should struggle. So if you want that satisfying platinum noise in 20 minutes, this is worth picking up. Ryme is an adventure puzzle video game developed by Tequila Works and released in 2017. The game follows a boy searching a mysterious island with a fox-like spirit guide. There are 5 relatively large levels, which you'll have to solve environmental puzzles. The game mainly focuses on the 5 stages of grief, and the story can be quite emotional, but it's beautifully told. The platinum can be achieved in 8 hours, and only has a difficulty rating of 2 out of 10, making it ideal for a story-focused player who doesn't mind a couple of puzzles to solve. The art style is beautiful, and sometimes you may take a moment just to look around and take it all in. It's a game I gave a chance, and I'm glad I did, and I hope you do too. I mean, what's there to say about Spyro that you probably don't already know? Most of you probably already have this platinum, plus the second and third game which all come under 10 hours each. But if you haven't got them, or been on the fence, you can get all 3 platinum trophies in about 24 hours total. Developed by Toys for Bob, who also remade the Insane trilogy and Crash 4, the Spyro platinums are nowhere near as difficult as those though. The flying races are probably the hardest part of the trilogy, but there's guides online for the most optimised routes, and a bit of practice goes a long way. When I saw this game in the store, I had to look it up, but unfortunately there's not a lot of info or guides about it online. But I gave it a go and found a guide to follow and really enjoyed my time with it, to the point I bought and completed the DLC also. It's a point and click adventure game with a noir detective feel, where you play as Amber searching for her missing brother. She enlists the help of Detective Ted E. Beer and mixes drama and humour quite well. The game will probably take about 3 to 4 hours if you follow a guide and enjoy the story, but can be done quicker if you really want to. So if you have fond memories of the old point and click games like Broken Sword and Pyjama Sam, you'll enjoy this one. What Remains of Edith Finch is a first-person exploration game developed by Giant Sparrow and released in 2017. You play as Edith as she revisits her childhood home, learning the mysteries of her family's passing through intriguing storytelling and gameplay techniques. Each one normally has a trophy tied to doing a specific thing during the cutaways, so make sure to consult the guide while playing, should you only want to do one playthrough. The game won multiple awards at the Game Awards, and its story is very engrossing. With a 2 out of 10 and only taking about 2 hours, this is a lovely short game with an easy platinum that you can enjoy in one sitting and you won't be disappointed in giving it a chance. A 5-episode story here, not too dissimilar to a Telltale game. The game revolves around Ryme mechanic. The main character Max learns she has the superpower to turn back time. It's a game with some very heavy topics that may trigger some people, but will have you engaged until its epic finale. Unlike Telltale games, there are missable trophies where you have to photograph specific things in each chapter, so a guide is recommended to keep an eye on that. But should you wish to experience everything unspoilt, you can replay chapters and clean up anything you've missed. It has a 1 out of 10 difficulty, and with a guide should take 10 hours. I guarantee it'll leave a lasting impression on you. My first horror recommendation, so it may not be to everyone's taste, but I love the Saw series, and I saw this at my local shop and remember playing it years ago, so grabbed both 1 and 2. Set between arguably the 2 best movies, Saw 1 and 2, you play as Detective Tapp, who's been healed by Jigsaw and finds he has to navigate through a hospital of terror to confront John Kramer. The game feels more like an escape room than a proper Saw experience, with some added action mixed in, but overall I enjoyed my time with it. There's no PSM Profiles guide for it, but I'd say it's probably a 3 out of 10, and should take between 8 to 10 hours. So if you've been looking for an easy horror game to add to your list, this just might be the one for you. I think everyone's probably heard of this, a bit like Spyro but for completely different reasons. You take control of a goat in a completely wacky and bonkers universe. The trophy list can be done pretty much whenever you want, with collectibles being the only slight drag. PSM Profiles has it as a 5 out of 10 and taking 2 hours, but arguably it's definitely not that hard. The only trophy that may give you an issue is Flappy Goat, a play on the fad Flappy Bird. You can't zoom in to play and the hitbox is slightly off, whereas I struggled a little with getting this trophy. A lot of people I know did it in minutes. Set in a steampunk-esque world, Teslagrad is a 2.5D platformer. You make your way up a tower, uncovering the history of the world with a few action sequences. Make sure to follow a guide for the collectibles, especially for one where you have to race up a pathway to grab it before it disappears. The game isn't too difficult, despite the 5 out of 10 PSM Profile states it is, especially if you like your platforming games. And it only takes 4 hours. I'm not the greatest platformer, and I still achieved the platinum in under 10 hours, so if this appeals to you, you'll enjoy it. Another point-and-click adventure game here, and also another steampunk-esque world with a bit more going on than Bear With Me. It's a story of espionage, and again I highly recommend following a guide as some of the puzzles can be a tad confusing. Again, no PSM Profiles guide here, but the game with a guide is a 1 out of 10 and should take between 2 to 6 hours. At most, depending on how much you're intrigued by the story. This one didn't quite grab my attention as much as the others, but it's still a well-made game with intriguing elements. I enjoy my detective games, whether they're more mainstream like LA Noire or Sherlock, or hidden gems. This probably sits in the middle as Poirot is more to the taste of your nan, but The First Cases was a classic whodunit set in a large mansion, where you uncover clues, interrogate the guests, and solve the case. Another game where there's no PSM Profiles guide, but there are guides online should you want to follow one. The difficulty is about 2 out of 10, and the platinum should take you about 4 to 6 hours with a guide. So if you're a detective lover like me, you'll have a great time here. I'm always trying to find similar games like these, so if anyone has any recommendations, let me know. Anyone who has a PlayStation 5 should be getting this platinum, as it comes free with the console. This fun little platformer shows off the capability of the DualSense and is the perfect love letter to the history of PlayStation, with nods to games that have made the console special over the years. PSM Profiles has it as a 2 out of 10 and only taking 5 hours, and the extra 3 DLC trophies shouldn't take longer than 2 to 3 hours. Astros is the perfect game for beginners and veterans alike, and you're yet to find anyone who's not enjoyed the platinum, so give it a go. Stray was released in 2022 by former French Ubisoft developers, and the game was designed based on their own cats. You explore a futuristic city inhabited by robots and terrorised by Zerks, on the way to reuniting with your cat family. The game's super fun and cute, where you can spend hours just scratching carpets, meowing, or taking cat naps, and trust me, I did. But if you were to just focus on the platinum, it can be completed within 8 hours. There is a speedrun trophy to complete the story in under 2 hours, but it feels very lenient, and apart from the trophy Can't Catch Me, the platinum is a breeze. Just follow the 5 Ds of dodgeball and you should be okay. Released 10 years ago, Sole Suspect has you playing as Ronan, a detective on the hunt for a serial killer, when he's murdered by said killer. He finds out he cannot move on until he helps solve the case. Navigating the Ghost Realm can be fun, and intriguing, though the game won't win any awards for its story. It's still an interesting concept, and I enjoyed it when I played. The platinum can be achieved in about 7 hours, and the game is always on sale for peanuts, so it's a perfect game for a day or two. Created by Polish studio Tate Multimedia, way back in the 2000s at the height of the Crash and Spyro craze, KO Major's return in 2022, with up-to-date graphics and more importantly, a platinum trophy. There's not much really I can say about this game. What you see is what you get. It's the typical collect the collectibles, defeat the bosses, etc. PSM Profiles has it as a 4 out of 10, 9 hour platinum, but it's not that difficult at all, and if you enjoy these kind of platformers, you'll feel right at home. An intriguing real-life game here, where you're sat at a desktop with hundreds of video files of 4 individuals trying to piece together a timeline of a story. It can be a bit overwhelming at first, but once you get to understand the keywords, it starts coming together. If you are struggling, though, there's plenty of guides, and the platinum should only take about 3 hours of your time, so if this appeals to you, check it out. A PlayStation Studios game here, which most have probably heard of. Concrete Genie is a fantastic action-adventure where you take control of Ash, who finds when he draws his creations come to life. The game has a great story and is so colourful and creative, it's hard not to love the 8 hours the platinum takes. It's your typical, wholesome, bullying tale of overcoming adversity. This is another that I feel every platinum hunter should have on their list, and it's another that's super beginner friendly. Honestly, if you've not played this, go try it. There's 3 DLC trophies here, but will require a VR headset, so if you have one, this should be a super satisfying 100% to have. So this is on my list as this is the first game I ever played back in the 90s, way back on the Master System. It's a typical side-scrolling platformer, and even has cheats that don't disable trophies, so you shouldn't struggle at all. PSN has it as a 3 out of 10, and it should only take about 5 hours. The music will also get stuck in your head, you've been warned. For me, the biggest pain in the butt was defeating the bosses of Rock Paper Scissors. This was a total trip down memory lane, and I highly recommend it, especially if you've ever played an Alex Kidd game before. Another French developer, DigitsArt, Road 96 takes place in the country of Petria, which has some weird rules regarding teenagers. You'll take control of several different teenage hitchhikers making it across the country, travelling mainly along Road 96, meeting some quirky characters like bank robbers and a crazy taxi driver. The aim of the game is to escape successfully while slowly uncovering the overall story. PSN says that the plat should take about 8 hours, and it really is a chill ride, unless you're with the taxi driver. Disney Pixelar next. Originally released in 2009, this is a shooting gallery style shooter. 50 trophies in 5 hours is kind of insane, but the game is very linear apart from a few miscellaneous trophies. You can also rope someone else into playing this with you, should you wish. Great for a partner who's a Disney fan, or a young child. Unless you have the PS3 version, you will have to stream this off the PSN network, so make sure it's not a laggy mess before unlocking that first trophy. Finishing off with what is undoubtedly the quickest and possibly easiest platinum trophy, Stormboy. It's a beautiful game, and while searching for it, there looks like there's a movie also. Interesting to know. 1 out of 10 and takes less than an hour to platinum, it's still a great little game that is worth half an hour of your time. It's arguably borderline shovelware, but I think it definitely has a story that'll last with you for a while. So definitely check it out if you haven't already. This is a point-and-click adventure game, following two detectives, Sunny and Marty, as they embark upon a new case. Set in an alternate world populated by animals in a 1940s film noir style. Sunny, a former celebrated detective, but more importantly, a chicken, teams up with his former partner Marty for one last case, which will see you look for clues, interview suspects and perform interrogations. The game has multiple missable trophies. Should you want to complete it within 6 to 8 hours, I highly recommend following a guide and just go for the platinum. One trophy, now let's grab a bite to eat. I suggest collecting on a separate playthrough, as it requires you to fail on the questioning of 10% or less. But the first opportunity to get this is quite early on with Deborah, and then the shiny platinum is all yours. An adventure puzzle game next. This game follows two children, Arena and Friend, in a dreamscape as they progress through a set of island levels, each representing different shared experiences. The island and paths wind around each level with the aim to activate a portal at the end to progress. You control each character separately and can manipulate time and the environment to help each other pass through various obstacles. The game is a 2 out of 10 and will take about 2 hours, and there's no missable trophies due to chapter select, so you can play the game at your leisure and tick off any miscellaneous trophies as you wish. A remaster of Maniac Mansion 2 released in 1993, the game follows Bernard, Hoagie and Laverne as they attempt to stop an evil purple tentacle from taking over the world. The game involves time travel, normally with hilarious twists on historical events. It's another point-and-click adventure game, and again I'd recommend following a guide while playing, as there are a couple of missable trophies, and in typical point-and-click games some of the puzzles can be a bit specific. PSM Profiles has it as a 2 out of 10 and 6 hours, though I got the platinum in 3 hours, so this really shouldn't take too much of your time up, and I'm sure you'll have some nostalgic fun with this. A 2019 indie puzzle stealth game where you play as, you guessed it, a goose, terrorising a local village. You quack, steal and move items, and manipulate the NPCs to your whim as you navigate a few levels which have objectives to do in each area. You do need to speedrun each area, which can be a little tricky, but you can YouTube guides on how other players did it and follow pretty effortlessly. There's also a few miscellaneous trophies which you can do later on, but they should be no bother. The great thing about this game, similar to Goat Simulator, is that you can play co-op. Causing havoc with a friend or family member is particularly fun, but I'd recommend for the platinum to do it solo. PSN has it as a 4 out of 10 and taking about 6 hours, and if like me you love quickie games like this, you'll have a blast with this one. A few of you may have seen or heard of this before, as it's been labelled as the cheap Uncharted by a few in the community. Origins is a remaster of 3 previous episodes and follows the story of Adam on his quest for the Garden of Eden and Solomon's Temple. The gameplay, story and, well, most of the game is quite basic, but that doesn't mean it's bad or god forbid shovelware, as there is a game here and it is somewhat enjoyable. The platinum difficulty is probably a 1 or 2 out of 10 and it should take about 3 hours. There is a chapter select, meaning no trophies are missable, though I will advise to spin the globes when you see them so you don't have to spend too much time with this game. Yes, another point-and-click adventure game. But the last on this list, I promise. The game sees you play as Rufus, an inhabitant of a junk planet called Deponia, when he bumps into a beautiful girl from the floating city above. Rufus has his illusions of living a better life, fancying this girl, so seeks to help her return home. The characters and story are funny and charming, and there are 2 sequels with equally easy platinum trophies should you enjoy the first. Fun fact for you here too, but this is the studio that brought to you the hit game Gollum, and then was subsequently shut down. Again, as with the previous point-and-click games, I recommend following a guide, as there are missable trophies, and PSN has it as a 2 out of 10, taking just 4 hours. I always seem to stumble across these hidden kid platformers, and can't really go wrong with them. It's a solid game for what it is, a fun and interesting 2D platformer. It's a colourful adventure and the difficulty level is just enough where you'll be engaged while going for the platinum. PSM Profiles has it as a 3 out of 10 and should take about 6 hours, with the difficulty mainly being in time trials, but you only need a bronze for each level. There are collectibles too, but they're pretty easy to spot, so it's highly unlikely you'll need a guide, meaning you can get a pretty fun platinum in one evening without checking your phone or computer every couple of minutes. This game intrigued me as soon as I saw it, where you replay 12 minutes of an evening where a self-identifying officer interrupts you and you have to solve why you're stuck in this loop. The game is fascinating and has 3 incredible voice actors in James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley and the legend Willem Dafoe. If you follow a guide, the game can be completed in about 2 hours, though I highly recommend trying yourself for a bit first, as there's no missables, and as the game doesn't hold your hand with how to progress, it can be genuinely rewarding to work out the next step. PSM Profiles has it as a 2 out of 10, taking 6 hours for the platinum, and this is another game I highly recommend just trying due to its uniqueness. This was a monthly PSN game about 2 years ago, and when I saw it I wanted to give it a go. It's hard to really explain the gameplay. Placing puzzle pieces on a model vision of the level in the middle, it transfers that piece to either be bigger in the reality you're in, or smaller in the model, meaning you'll need to enlarge or shrink certain things to progress the story. The story and memories of a relationship, again voiced by a huge celebrity in Bryce Dallas Howard. The game on PSM Profiles has a 2 out of 10 with it only taking 3 hours. There are speedrun trophies here too, but they're relatively lenient and it shouldn't be a problem. I know you guys have heard of this one, and if not, you're in for a treat. Donut County is a puzzle game where you have to move a hole to swallow objects, thus making the hole bigger to swallow more objects. There's a loose story of a human named Mira finding out her raccoon friend, BK, has been accidentally destroying the town while trying to earn a new drone, leading to a pretty epic finale. Most of the levels are told by characters who are now living underground, explaining what happened to their areas for them to wind up there. It's a super chilled and relaxing game, and a platinum most people should get, with PSM Profiles stating it to be a 1 out of 10 and taking 3 hours. Released in 2020 for the PS4, House Flipper was a hit on PC before coming to consoles. Buy a house, make it less gross, sell it for profit. Easy peasy. The trophy list is also very simple. Complete the story and do a few miscellaneous trophies. It's not quite as mundane as Power Wash Simulator, and definitely not as long, coming in at a respectable 2 out of 10, taking roughly 15 hours. There's a ridiculous amount of DLC trophies mined, so bear that in mind when you do go for this, but it's a nice chill platinum to add to your list. Thank you for checking out my super long mega list. I know a few of you have probably seen most of it, if not all the games before, but hopefully it's a cheeky reminder, or for new people, a lot of platinums to put on your to-do list. Hope you're awesome and have a great weekend, and thank you all for supporting me and the channel. Have a great weekend. Bye!